Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Neighbours. I'm joined by Lanette Ware-Bushfield, an award-winning actress, writer, and producer who has spent her career telling bold stories that amplify underrepresented voices. She's worked alongside some of Hollywood's biggest names, founded her own production company, and is recognized as a 2025 RBC Women of Influence nominee. Lanette's latest project, Silver Stars, is a powerful docuseries celebrating 12 extraordinary Canadian women across STEM, sports, and the arts. This October, it will be showcased right here in Aurora at the Royal Royce Gallery. Lanette, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction.
Okay, let's start with your journey. Okay.
Yes.
Your journey started in Manhattan and has taken you across the world.
Yes.
What drew you to storytelling in the first place?
Yeah, I love that question because I think, first of all, we are all storytellers. And I think that as children, we play with the concept of the world in which we live. And I think from a very young age, I was telling your co-partner, Lanette, that I knew very young who I wanted to be. So I don't think I was drawn to it as much as I knew what was pulling me.
Yeah, we are all storytellers.
Yes.
Yes. We're constantly telling ourselves stories, telling stories to others, whether some people are aware of it or not.
That's right.
The little voice in your head is telling you a story every day when you wake up too.
I like that. That's so awesome because today I woke up with this new sort of encouragement to sort of like greet yourself in the mirror, something that I hadn't thought of or ever have done in my life. But I like that idea of saying out loud what you're thinking to yourself, because to your point, there's a voice in there and you want to make sure you are guiding it on path because it can guide you off track and you don't want that. So I love what you just said. A lot of people aren't even aware of that.
Yeah,
right?
No, it's something I think about a lot now is that voice in your head, right? If you're not aware of it, right, I look at it as kind of like your ego voice, which can kind of lead you off path. Or if you're kind of more aligned with kind of your true self, you're going to be on the path of it. So you have to be able to recognize that both of those exist.
That's right.
And being aware of that too, because again, it is telling you a story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you've worn many different hats, actor, producer. Talk about the range of it.
Yes.
And is there one that fits more you? Like,
yes,
it's many hats, but like talk about the different versions of that.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I will always say to the day I am no longer, I am an actor first, through and through, from the beginning. I just have always loved the idea of character building through my storytelling. As I mentioned, we all have the ability to do, but it just resonated with me from a young age that when I could put those words up on stage or when I can adopt another body and mind and spirit, that I was the most alive. So for sure, acting is, always going to be my first love. It's what I feel the most natural at doing. Producing, I will say, is something that I just think I'm good at because I happen to be an only child, outgoing, extrovert, and leader naturally. Like when I was a kid, when they called me bossy, I didn't know that that's, I thought that was a bad thing. But now I realize what that bossiness was. It was me organizing. It was me encouraging my friends, like, you're going to do this and then you'll do that. I was literally, creating shows in my backyard with my peers, with our dolls. And I didn't know that that's what producing was. I've been doing it for as long as I can remember, but I'm just naturally comfortable kind of like having an overarching theme of the way things should look and feel and be, and then delegating. That's what producing is. And I'm just naturally good at it. It's fun. I love seeing other people shine. And I just love this kind of like, obviously it's a personality thing, which again, I don't want to look at as a negative. I think it has served me. But on the softer side, the antithesis of that is my writing. That's where my own personal vulnerability comes out. That's where a lot of my nonfiction is sort of my most brave work, unless I'm getting an acting role where, for instance, when I play real people who have real tragedy and I'm really identifying with their humanity, am I ever really as vulnerable as I am with writing? Because it's me, it's my words, it's my, channel that I want to put out there. And to make a good piece, whether it's film, television, or theater, which I started in New York City theater, writing off-Broadway plays, it's you. It's you fully putting the most vulnerable out there. And if you're smart, and I'm not going to say if you're good, if you're smart, you're trying to make sure that that humanity resonates with an audience. So to me, that's the most work for me. But boy, do I love it. I love sitting down. I'm not one of these writers who like has to write every day. I don't look at it as something I have to do. But when an idea comes to me, I can tell you I jump out of his sleep and I have to write for like 6 hours straight.
So you could, inspired by a thought, an idea, but you can hop into a flow pretty quickly where the, time disappears and you're just like, just coming through you.
Oh yeah, that's it. And by the way, I love that you said the conduit and the channel and being the portal recipient of the data, if you will, because I believe if you don't use it, you'll lose it. It'll go to the next person. Mm-hmm. I believe that in this room, there's no distance between you and I. Mm-hmm. And right now, a thought can come to me, but if I don't speak on it, it'll pop in your head.
Yes.
I believe that firmly. So when I get those ideas, no, I don't feel an obligation like, oh, I have to, I have to do this. But 9 times out of 10, I have to do it. 9 times out of 10, in other words, I don't approach the writing as you must do this. But when it comes to me, I must do it. If I can kind of clear that up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, ideas without action are useless.
Thank you.
Right. So
brilliantly put.
And that's why you're saying like the ideas hop to different people.
Yep.
And then it only becomes a reality once action is put behind it.
That's it.
So you have built the skill up, you get it. You got to put action behind it and make it from idea to reality as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. And then in Hollywood, for instance, why do you think you'll have like a trilogy of films about the same topic? Because it's in the zeitgeist. So there's that too, right? What's topical? What's important? What do we care about? Yeah. All that.
Love it.
Yeah.
What's it mean for you personally to be a 2025 RBC Women of Influence nominee?
That was huge. Thank you for asking, because you don't look at yourself. You don't evaluate yourself, but people are watching and seeing. And I think that's what that mention meant to me, is that a peer, someone who works for RBC, submitted my name and my credentials. And I was so honored, so floored, and so humbled, because I just do the work because I love it. I'm not thinking about the people, places, and things that I'm influencing along the way. But I know when I think of it and receive it, it's true if I look at it on paper that, I'm trying to bring up the next generation through my actions. I'm trying to lead by example. I'm trying to go places that I've never been or that people like me have never been, and I'm breaking through. And I'm not the only one. That's the other thing. And so, sure, it was one of those things like the SAG Awards versus an Oscar nomination. They go, which means more? 9 times out of 10, an actor's going to tell you the SAG Award meant more because it was from her or his peer. And that's what that meant to me, that this was someone who knows me and put me forward. So I thought, geez, she's watching and I didn't realize, and I admire her too. So it was a beautiful honor.
Yeah, I think you touched on it. It's where, you're just head down, putting in the work, doing the actual thing of it. I think a lot of time people can kind of get lost when they're chasing those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you don't get those things by doing that. You get the things by just doing the real work over and over and over again. But it's always nice to kind of get that signal that, people are watching and paying attention. And
Sure. There's a responsibility with it too. I mean, it is a little nerve-wracking. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do next? Like, this is, but no, you nailed it. It's exactly that. You're not doing it for the recognition. You really aren't. And I appreciated that very much.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Silver Stars.
Okay.
What is it?
Yes.
And what inspired you to create it?
Yes, those are 2 easy questions for me. I'll take the second one first. So my grandmother served community for over 50 years of her life. And she was by far my best friend. And I watched her from the age of 4 to 5, when I could kind of figure out what was going on around me, to the day she passed. I watched her effect on her community for decades. I watched the children that she raised have children and run up to her with love and open arms and celebration and like support and care for her. They adored the fact that she contributed to the fabric of who they were, and they would never let her forget that. And I thought, I know my grandmother's not the only one who gave so much of herself who's making an impact. And then I flip the script because I'm a creative, right? I'm like, what can I do here with this concept of honoring women and, you know, the unrecognized woman who actually does so much more than you can appreciate or imagine. And then I thought of my daughter, who's a teen and wants to pursue STEM. And I thought, well, she doesn't have many people who look like her to emulate or who can guide her the way I saw the little kids looking up to my grandmother. I thought, okay, bing, there's the impetus behind Silver Stars, docu-series / calendar that will celebrate 12 women, so one woman per month, in celebration of their contributions, trailblazing women across Ontario who have literally led the way and are paving, you know, the way for the next generation to be inspired by. And why women? A lot of people often ask me, well, I can't tell you how many rooms I've been in. You're a gent, you're awesome, and I love men, but I can't tell you how many rooms I've been in as a producer where men have asked me, why is this important? If there was a woman protagonist, why do we need to see this? If there were women that we were celebrating? And I realized that's something I want to address. Also, this project is for young boys because I don't know that they're seeing the women in their lives outside of their mothers be celebrated for their contributions. And I'm feeling a rollback, if you will, societally, North America, let's just say, without having to say it, we can read between the lines. I'm seeing a rollback. And, you know, hello there, Handmaid's Tale, but I'm seeing a rollback of some of the, you know, fair balance between the sexes and norms that I was raised with. And that scares me to the bone. So this is also for young men to see, hey, you know, there are mature women that look like my mom out there kicking butt and doing just as many great things as my dad is. And so that was the impetus and such. And so, yeah, I think I answered both, that it is a docuseries / 2026 calendar. I already have some organizations that are actually going to be putting the calendar in their graduation bags for their students. So
yeah,
there you go.
I love it. And even the same way we spoke of like you doing the work and then you're getting recognized over here. I'm just now picturing these 12 individuals that have been doing that their whole life, right? And then now you're coming in as like shining a spotlight on them and bringing their kind of stories to life. Even though they're not doing it for those things, they're doing it because that's just who they are as a makeup as a person.
Love that you said that, because some of them are like, Lanette, you know, they're not me. They're not used to being on camera. They're not used to talking podcasts. They're just doing their thing. So I love that you said that. And for me, it gives me even more joy to celebrate them and women like that in particular, because they're not doing it for the showcase. I love that you said that and caught that. Absolutely. Yeah. And so it gives me greater like joy to say, hey, but you're pretty awesome, right? You're pretty amazing. I mean, just to brief your audiences here at Conversations with Neighbors, but like one of my women has started a broadcast. One of my women has created an app for survivors. I mean, like the list goes on and on. One of my women is a 57-year-old bodybuilder. I mean, like it's across the map. One of my women held the Canadian record for 23 years. I mean, I could go on, right? Who are these women? None of us can actually say their names, can we? We should know them. Yeah. We should know who these women are. They're Canadians, you know, and in a day and age where our sovereignty is being threatened, like we need to celebrate these amazing trailblazers. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And so it's intergenerational, right? So you have young people interviewing with older, like why is that important? Why did you want to have that element?
I love that question. And a lot of my women are always like, well, what age do I have to be? You know, they're always asking. No, I think it's important because the idea of going into a program when you're in your late teens and 20s and figuring out who you want to be or studying who you want to become, and not seeing, I mean, you know, you have to see it to be it, and not seeing what it is that you're actually trying to become as a template or, the blueprint for how it can be done, especially as a woman, is very important, because we know women have children. We know that we are the mothers of the earth. How do you do that? A lot of young people are probably thinking, do you know how many young women say to me, I'm scared to have a child. It's going to affect so there's so many reasons why women and why the older generation, to show them and lead by example, to say, this is how it can be done. As long as you are honoring this, and that. Again, from their words. I don't want to, tell every woman's story, but that's what the docuseries is going to be. But it's going to be engaging, and it's going to actually be fun because they're not going to know what the questions are. And it's going to be very natural, organic, off the cuff, and real, because it's about making sure the young generation of women and men know what it takes and that it's not just one path. You know, Lanette and I were talking earlier, like, you know, when one person gets to that realization might be different for when the next person gets there, but get there they will. Mm-hmm. So here are some tips to maybe, you know, allow you to maybe get there more linearly versus A to Z, A to Z, A to Z your whole life. Like, can we just help these young people maybe avoid the pit holes of rising, right? Like, don't do that if it doesn't feel right, right? Like, let's just tell you a couple things to kind of like keep you on your path. And it always boils down to who you are as an individual and honoring yourself, which is why I love having 12 different women across discipline. Yeah.
And there are all these 12 unique individual stories, but as well, it shows like the proof that like this is possible, right? And like everything starts with belief, right? You have to believe that something is possible too. And until you actually hear the stories of seeing that to actually start the initial piece of belief, I think that's going to be a core part of it as well too.
I love that you said that. And that's what I'm doing. I'm working with some other co-producers on, you know, the entertainment value. I mean, let's just be honest, right? We want people to be engaged and feel like they learned something no matter their age or sex. That's going to be key. So I love that you said that. I love that you already see how it might resonate for those very reasons. I mean, because that's the heart of it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to have the contents of it. You got to wrap it up to be entertainment because that's the only way we get consumption of it to actually drive the story. That's the only way
one of the broadcasters are going to buy it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as much as I didn't like those questions in the meetings, I get why they asked the question, right? That it, you know, sell.
Yeah. The wrapping of the contents is important, of course.
Yes. So I'll make it splashy and fun and off the cuff. It'll be good. We've got several locations and all that we're doing. Yeah.
So representation is a big theme in your work. Mm-hmm. Why do you feel it's especially important to highlight the voices of mature women?
Oh, I love that. Well, because just like marginalized people, non-able-bodied people, deaf people, LGBTQ people, people of color, they're often just overlooked and assumed to not be a part of our fabric, not just in this nation, but globally. And it is our duty, if we are ever in position, to shine a light on those underrepresented communities. And there's so many others in there that I could have mentioned. It's our duty to include them, because they are a part of our zeitgeist. They are a part of this world. They matter. I just, on my drive over, saw a young woman who clearly had cerebral palsy walking her dog. And she was engaging with the Canada Post gentleman, and they were having a beautiful day. And I'm like, where's her story? Why don't I ever, in my decades on this planet, ever see a beautiful woman like that represented in a story? Our children will never know she exists. And yes, she's a minor part of our community. I get it. So are minorities. So are people in LGBT. I mean, it's so funny when you think of, you know, the trans conversation, this is not going to be. But I mean, one of the things I heard from a trans person is they're focusing on the wrong 1%. They're 1% of society. Are we that threatened by things we don't understand? So how about we show people what we don't understand so that they'll be less threatened?
Yeah.
And to me, that's my job.
Yeah.
No one's going to harm me from any of these communities I mentioned because of who they are. They'll harm me because they're a bad person.
Yeah.
They are not out to get me. So why would I, the general I, be so threatened by anyone who's different from me? That's about me. So my job as a producer is to get people to look at themselves more and say, hey, why are you upset about what somebody does in their privacy or how they were born or where they praise and who they praise with? I mean, really, what is that about, right? So that's my job. That's why I feel so committed. I will always feel so committed. I'm a cis, hetero, Black woman from New York who's lived all over the world. Like, none of these issues really directly, are going to make a difference in my life because I've been living for these decades thrilled about who I am on this planet, never apologized for who I am about being on this planet for who I am, never shied from any of it. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing that, we have a chat like this and people can understand that it's okay. It's okay that we don't look alike. Look at the fish in the sea. They're not the same. And there's a reason for that. We should be comfortable swimming in the same corridors and waters.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, The answer is more storytelling, right? And so the more stories can be represented, which then if you think of the cost of storytelling has now just get lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, right? Where, you've been in the industry of like how expensive it was to kind of create a story, to create it and distribute it, right? But now that's going down even more and more and more and more and more, where then at the same time, there's like another trend or wave that's happening where people are more in tune to become, call it creators, and put creative output out there too. So, and then they have the tools and abilities to help make those stories too, right? So, but you need people like yourself to kind of set the standard and, have that mission and vision for your whole life too, to kind of, again, build the belief and set the path for it. So
I like that you said that. I will say though, that it does take a hodgepodge. I mean, there are kids on YouTube doing things that like blow my mind. Not everybody should have a platform. Let's just be real. But this is the day and age we live in where it's possible. I mean, Spike Lee has even said it. Like, he's so impressed by some of the great filmmaking, right? Which is not storytelling. Filmmaking, the quality of filmmaking. And I so respect what you said. That form of media has now come to a level where it's more accessible. That's absolutely what I heard you say. But the storytelling, going back to our original point, everybody can do. It's just, are you doing it for you, for audiences, to move a dial? There's so many reasons why many of us do what we do. As producers, I have so many peers. And one of my friends, she only focuses on work out of the diaspora, meaning the African continent, right? So that's her purview, right? So we all have our duty. And I think it comes from your own impetus. Where is that from? Like, where does it come from that you want to tell stories about, toddlers, like, let's say, right? I mean, that's your thing. So do preschool. I mean, so we do have to honor why we're doing it, knowing that we have great reach. And taking that responsibly.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
So some partial proceeds from the Silver Stars are going to Dare to Rise.
Yes.
Why do you choose this cause, and what impact do you hope that this project will have?
Yes. Well, what she's doing at Dare to Rise is amazing. Abby runs the organization. It's a 501 LC, and she is really bridging everything that I have always been driven to, which is the divide between community members and bridging them so that there is more support internally and less reliance on not just government, but outside sources. There's so much power in bridging by holding hands. I mean, look at the topic of your podcast is the title rather is Conversations with Neighbors. I mean, there's so much power in, again, local for global, right? Localizing your efforts and keeping things at home allow for the power and the ingrown, synergy to happen between people in your own backyard. And people, I think, have overlooked that because, again, the internet has, made the world feel smaller. But why are we lonelier? Why are we sadder? Because we don't even know our neighbors anymore. There is an increase in isolation. Well, that's a shame when we're all right here living. We're alive for a second. So how about we pop off those stars, meaning that we're still shining bright while we're here. We're not, a monolith, no. But it's when we all merge voices, ideas, and feelings that we really then create things that are new, right? That's what creativity is. Not just never been done before, but like elevated ideas that affect change. And so she is doing a great job at Dare to Rise. I'll let your audiences look her up. Yep. I can't speak for all the things she's doing, but she's on fire. We're going to be attending TIFF together. I'm going to be introducing her to some people. I love what she's doing. She's just building community from the inside out. Yeah.
And I think it's core. I do feel like with the internet at scale, people have kind of lost that because you get access to all the world's news, which we're not really equipped for, where my kind of mind perspective on this is like your level of care first, like yourself internally, because it's a single player game. You wake up and it's your ideas, your thoughts, right? Yes. So that's number one, get that set.
Yes.
Then it's your core family, like around you, right? That's the level of importance. Then it's like your neighborhood, the people like in your neighborhood. Then it's your community, right? Then it's the region, then it's the province, then it's the country, then it's the world, right? Where I think we kind of flip that on its head, where it's like, I can't solve all these things, but I can solve like how I interact with my neighbors, right?
Absolutely.
And, you know, if you look at the news and the way that's set up, like, you know, the headlines are like bad. Mm-hmm. So it paints a picture of that. But in reality, like go out in your community and see what's actually going on, because that's the truth, right? Exactly. And it's a way different story than what we're told. So
exactly. And I love that you said the word truth, because I think at the core, each of our truths can be manipulated by media. So again, I use the word responsibility responsibly, because what is it that we choose to share about one another, right? That's media. That's the power of media. If I only, and by the way, I remember about 10 years ago, I started a petition at the TD Bank downtown because I'd walk in and there was news. And I said, guys, this is not okay. There is no reason on earth that all of your patrons need to come in when they're taking out a loan or taking out cash or depositing cash, that they need to see what's going on globally to affect them, horrifically while they're doing an exchange of cash, because it's just a horrible idea. And so I'm happy to see that the TD here in Aurora doesn't put on the news. And whenever I see news in like a nail salon or whatever, the energy just changes, and it's not healthy for us. It's exactly what you said. We're not meant to take on that much data, that much information, and we cannot control what's going on right now globally. Yeah. And it is a lot. It's too much. Our minds were not, and our bodies and our journeys were not meant to take on this much data. We can't handle it. So we have to intentionally turn it off to preserve ourselves, as you say, from the self to the family, to the community, to the province, the nation, and the world. And we have to then do what we can to honor our own voice in alignment with where we are in the world, right? And that's travel. Like, you take you with you when you travel. So, okay, then you can have, a care about the croissant you're having in Italy, maybe. But, the point is, while you are where you are, be present. Be, fully aware of your part, which is valuable. Like, you matter wherever you go. So don't be distracted. Right? They want us. And I say they because there are forces out there that manipulate. And those forces do want us to live in fear. Yeah. And we shouldn't. We don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's because we're distracted, right? And you're not like aware of what's actually going on. You're not being present, right? You are constantly being distracted. And when you're distracted, you can be sold to, right? It's like, this is kind of a piece of it. Where, and you could be told stories that aren't true, right?
Well, the truth is, that was our little action word for this moment. The truth is, I'm sitting down as a Black woman from New York City, America, in Canada with a white guy, and I'm not supposed to have anything in common with you. And by the way, how many times have we nodded at each other this entire conversation?
Yeah, lots in common.
If you listen to people, you would never think a conversation like this is possible. But it's not true. So let's not lean into those falsities. So yeah, I love this chat. I love this chat. And again, it proves my point which is what I want to do in media. I always want to dispel those disparaging untruths.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So the word of advice, when you wake up, don't check your phone immediately.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's the first rule. Yeah. Absolutely. I've been doing that for as long as I've had a phone. Don't do it. No, enjoy your coffee. Listen to the birds.
Yeah, man. For
They're
sure.
Awesome.
What do you hope young people, especially young girls in STEM, sports, and the arts, will take away from the series that you've created? Yeah,
I'll just keep that one brief, because what my hope is that they'll check out the series and they'll see other young women like themselves, and they'll have their curiosity sparked, sure, but that they'll see the possibility. As I said earlier, and also you attested to, it's like, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And these examples are out there. They're just not presented enough. And again, for entertainment value, there's a lot of reasons that broadcasters pick up, I call it popcorn, right? Media. That's fine. That makes a buck. But I want to get to the heart of and minds of young people who are missing that like hope that we spoke of earlier, right? They're missing that feeling of, well, what can I do if I don't know yet? Or how can I make this happen for myself if I feel like I'm in such a niche area and there's no one out there really supporting this idea or this concept of a woman being in a male-dominated, industry, whether that's sport or STEM. Like, how do I fit? And again, for me, it was seeing my daughter really excel at science, get an A in physics and all these courses, and thinking, well, who can she look to? So I do hope that they come away with the idea that anything they want to do is possible, with some nice self-evaluation and some support, and some guides. Anything is possible. I want them to never forget that. If you have a spark, lean into it, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's rare, if it doesn't take up your feed, if it's not the first thing you see when you do check in, somebody, dancing or singing or being funny or whatever. Yeah, that's great. We all love that. But there's more to what excites us. And for young people, it shouldn't all be the same. And I don't want young people to think that because 10 of my friends are not doing it, that I shouldn't. And I will say for myself, being in my community growing up, every single one of the young people around me literally laughed at me when I had a desire to go to a Broadway show versus a concert. I mean, just things like that, really leaning into the fact that you like this for a reason. You can't explain it. So I don't want young people to shame it away, their own desires to do things that may not be the norm. I want them to just go for it. And young women, particularly when they get around 11 to 17, 19, they lose their confidence. So that's another reason why I want to kind of get them back before they go off and do some career for 10 years at Deloitte when they actually wanted to create a patent or, run a race. I mean, Simu Liu said that. He worked at Deloitte for 10 years before he said, why am I doing this? I want to be an actor. And then he got the job, that we all know him now for Marvel, like the first Asian character. That's a brilliant story, right? Like, I don't want people wasting their 10 years if I can help it.
Yeah, it's your uniqueness as an individual is the contribution to everything, right?
Brilliant.
Like, you need to lead into it, not kind of shy away from it. And, everything that you're saying there, where these stories will help them build belief that it's possible.
Yes.
Which then it can also give them a spark. But you got to fan the spark to turn it into a flame. So
that's what I'm trying to do. And I love that you said that. Fanning the spark. Like, oh, it's okay to be unique. As you said, that should be on a bumper sticker. Your quote was great because it is that uniqueness that makes your contribution. I love that. And they need to be reminded of that. Yeah. And they need to say, wow, that's me.
Yeah. And others have done it their way.
Yeah. And others have done it their way. Absolutely. And what I love about bringing women together that, occupy the same discipline is that you're not going to have Rosie, who's my, Canadian Olympic holder, and Nanette, who's the weightlifter, maybe having a lot in common, but they're both mastered sport their way, like you say, right? In their own way. And so that to me is also inspiring, that like, it's not, you can't just, it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
It's not a one size fits all. You got to do it your way.
Absolutely. So you obviously got lots going on beyond Silver Stars. What's next for you and the production company?
Yeah. So I just got back from Kingston and Quebec City, where I'm going to be shooting a romantic comedy. It's set in the world of restaurants and reviews. And I'm actually I was editing this morning some of the script. It's like still makes me laugh. It's pretty funny. I've got a lot of things clashing and burning in there, which is what rom-coms are. It's all for the romantic comedy Christmas movie fan, which is very popular. I do have a preschool animated series that 2 broadcasters are interested in. And so we're already in like the script stages. So I do have the love of that as well, based on a book and sort of like captures, a character that I created based on my uncle, who's a Vietnam vet who happens to be in a wheelchair towards the end of his life. So I created that character, and I have a network here that really is interested in that. So again, creating what you know and love, but also to impact some change, right? Seeing a lead character in a wheelchair, I think is going to be, something that I know is not new anymore, but that I'm handling a little differently. So there's 5 projects on my slate. I try to be careful about taking on any more of that than that, because there are not that many of us on my small team, but we are doing well. I'm bringing on 5 new people in September to really help with these. And then I just got a huge grant from the National Film Board to do the post for this, as well as for my feature that I'm shooting out east. There's some really big names in Hollywood who just came on board. So it's going well, and I think that's going to keep me busy for the next year.
I love it.
Thank you for asking.
Love that. Okay, let's wrap it up. If there's one message you'd like the community to walk away with after watching Silver Stars, what would it be?
Never forget that your own power lies within you.
Love it. Okay, Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
What a pleasure.